Hi everybody, it's Danny James back here again, and today we have an Adobe After Effects CC tutorial on how to make interesting lower thirds. So I got this idea from this one. You can see this photo. I'm also going to play a video right below as you hear this. So how we're going to go about this on After Effects, we're going to make the frame first and then we're going to animate everything else afterwards. So on a new project, just go to a text layer and start typing. Let's write lower third. You can also make adjustments to the fonts by going here, and I'm going to go with something as basic as Monster. That looks okay, but I want everything in capital. The other thing we're going to create is the other text layer, which is the word logo and a subheading. Once again, go to your text layer, write the word logo. Again, let's make another text layer and write subheading. Yeah, that looks okay. So we have the three text layers and we're going to place them just somewhere for now. We're not going to do anything. And let's now create the images that you can see. These are the shapes. This is one square and this is another rectangle which has a fill. This is another rectangle which has a fill, and behind them it's a rectangle which has a stroke. So we are going to be making three rectangles and one square. So just come over here and make the first rectangle. This one will have the yellow fill, and we need to make another one. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to make a white background right behind so that can be easy to follow, and I'm going to put it right behind. Okay, and the text that we made, let's turn them back to black. Sorry about that. I think now we are getting the visual gist of it. We need to make another rectangle, so I can control copy and control paste, and I have another rectangle, and I can do the same for the third one. Remember the third one, if it's this one, let's now place everything where it's supposed to be. This one was supposed to be a smaller rectangle. Okay, so right now I want to make these big smaller, and let's enable a full screen so that you can see what you are doing, what you're working with. Just make sure you're on your shape layer. It's this second shape layer, and to make it smaller or to fit the dimensions we are looking for, I'm going to enlarge it, double click on it so that it gives you these sort of pointers, and you can make it as small as you want. And yeah, that's it. And I'll give it the color that we were supposed to give it. It needs to have a gray fill. Go right here on fill and paste the value. The code is 32 32 32. Yeah, that's it. We also had another rectangle. We had this one which was the main rectangle, and we had a stroke which was supposed to be behind. So for this one, we'll go to right here, hold on Alt on your keyboard if you're using Windows, and the Option key if you're on a Mac. Hold Alt and click on this, and it will change the fill to a gradient, and then to a radial shadow, and now it doesn't have any fill. That's what you want. Let's go on stroke, hold Alt on your Windows and click on the stroke, and it gives you the first option. So I want it to be like 12 pixels. That's okay. And I also want to make it bigger. As I just showed you, I'll double click on it so that can give me the pointers. Now I'm able to make it bigger. If we can refer back to our picture, we can see what we're trying to get at. That's the stroke. And on this shape layer, I'll press U to collapse everything, and I feel like this stroke is too big, so I'll make it around 7, and I'll drop it down somewhere down here, and I'll also make it a little bit smaller. Now we need to arrange everything in the fashion that you want them to appear. Something else that I didn't mention, it's important to label your layers because it gets really confusing as you have more layers. So in this shape layer, I want to label it, and to rename it, I'll press enter and write stroked rectangle. That was training to follow through. If you get stuck, you can always rewind. We forgot to create one square. Let's push everything to the right just a bit. That's it. And now let's create a new square. Make sure you have not clicked on anything here, and go to the shape, and now let's create the one square. Go back to your selection tool and position it how you like it. That's it. I'm going to move everything else a little bit to the right. That's it. So let's name this square. And as you can see, it has a fill and it also has a stroke. It has a black stroke, which you don't want. So let's disable stroke by holding Alt while clicking on the stroke. Now it doesn't have any stroke. Now this is our frame. Now it's time for us to piece everything together. Let's bring the lower thirds. Let's make sure the text, all texts are above the shape layers. Like that. Now let's place everything where it's supposed to be. That's it. Now as you can see, we have all the layers. I know it took quite a bit, but we have everything. We have the sketch now. Now it's a matter of animating, and so we want to put everything together. So if it's for the text which is written logo, we need to have it pre-composed together with the square which is right behind it. So I'll put them together and hold shift, click on both layers and right click and select pre-compose. You can name it logo square. That way we'll be able to make things a little bit easier for our eyes to follow through, and also to make our timeline neat. And we need to make the lower thirds text and the yellow filled rectangle to be together. So lower thirds and rectangle, I just held on onto shift, clicked on both of them, and I will pre-compose them. Yellow third. And for the last one but not least, the stroked rectangle and the heading for it. Now that looks quite okay. Now let's arrange everything with the order that the priority that we want them. We want the lower thirds text and the yellow rectangle, the yellow filled rectangle to be together and at the top. That's it. The second one will be the subheading, and the last but not least will be the logo. Now we have the frame for everything. Our last step will be animating everything. So you want this logo and the square to appear first, the lower thirds and the rectangle to appear second, or to appear last, and everything else to appear at the end. So I'm going to push. So let's animate the logo pre-composed layer, and we're going to press P on our keyboard and add a keyframe. Take it to the left, go a few frames to the right. You can use page down to navigate to the desired frames, and right there, that's okay. Let's look at the animation. That's it. Now we can also make this stroked rectangle to appear slowly or gradually, and with this one we won't be making a position keyframe, but instead we'll be adding a keyframe for opacity. As long as you're on this layer, press T to add an opacity keyframe. Take it at 0, go a few frames ahead and put it at 100, and I'll space this one so this is what you get, and need to space it quite a bit. And let's see now. That's good. Now it's time to bring the second thing, which is the subheading. Which is this one. Also for the subheading, what you can do, you can add a keyframe for opacity only. Press T, add a keyframe, take it from 0 to 100. Now let's see what you've done so far. That looks good. Now on to the last bit, which is the lower thirds and the filled yellow rectangle. So I'm going to add a position keyframe. So you can collapse everything here by pressing U on every layer. Let's add a keyframe for position. You can also add a keyframe for opacity. I can hold shift and press on T so that I can have both position and opacity shown to me, and I'll enable the keyframes for it. The opacity, I'll have it begin at 0, but I want to change the position first. The position, I want it to come from right below. If it comes from below, I want the end position to be here, and that looks quite neat. And I can now come and make an adjustment on my opacity. We had this keyframe at 100. I'll squeeze this keyframe right here and I'll add 0. So I have this going from 0 to 100, and the opacity also. So let's see. That looks good. Let's space them quite a bit. You can highlight on all the keyframe, go to keyframe assistance and click on easy ease. That's good. If you wish to go further to make any changes, and the reason why we also pre-composed our layers, so that in case you need to make any changes, whether it's changing the text, you can always go back. So in this example, you can go back to logo and change the text to something like fit. You can also go back to this layer and change this to your name. This is what I will do, and go back again to this subheading and write and make an adjustment here, video editor. Now if you go back, I can also save. Make sure to save, and this is what we have. That's it, guys. I hope you learned a thing or two and how to make your timeline neat and how to work with Adobe After Effects. I know it's usually challenging, but if you're able to be patient, you'll get through with it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next video. Make sure to subscribe and like this video. See you next time. Peace.